Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
Thank you. Are we in a quorum? I ask unanimous consent the quorum be dispensed with.
Without objection.
So, Mr. President, we live in partisan times, but there are moments when we can break through the typical divisions and work together on matters of real urgency. The anti-Asian hate crimes legislation this week is such a matter. It's a very straightforward and relatively modest bill to address a pressing and important issue in the country. It would designate a point person at the Justice Department to identify hate crimes towards Asian Americans related to COVID-19, telling federal law enforcement to make these hate crimes a top priority during the pandemic. Just as important, it would send a strong message to two groups, to the Asian American community that the country is paying attention to them, and to all of America that this kind of bigotry cannot be tolerated. I was gratified to hear the Republican leader yesterday say that the Senate Republican Conference wanted to move forward on the bill. This bill was never intended to be some kind of gotcha legislation. It's led by Senators Hirono and Duckworth, two outstanding Asian American senators, who rightfully want to respond to the rising tide of anti-Asian violence over the past year. When they asked me to move the bill quickly, I thought that was exactly the right thing to do, and here it is on the floor. The fact that Leader McConnell said yesterday he believes discrimination against Asian Americans is a real problem and wants to move forward and be constructive is a very good thing, and I salute him for it. The entire Senate ought to stand up against the recent surge of anti-Asian violence. We can take the first step later today by voting to proceed to the legislation. As I said yesterday, my intention is to have a bipartisan amendment process, beginning with the amendment offered by Senator Moran and Blumenthal, one a Republican, one a Democrat. In consultation with the Republican leader, we can work out an agreement on other germane, non-gotcha amendments to the bill if senators have them. We should be able, and should really try in earnest to reach a final resolution and pass the bill through the Senate very, very soon. Taking a step back for the moment, this is how the process should work in a closely divided Senate. If the Republican minority allows the Senate to move forward with a bill where we have shared priorities, the Democratic majority will work to set up a process for the Senate to consider germane amendments from both sides. That is the essence of the organizing resolution we all agreed to earlier this year, and hopefully it is a process we can repeat. In fact, we will test that proposition on the very next piece of legislation. If we're able to finish the anti-Asian hate crimes bill in a timely manner, I'll move next to consider a bipartisan water infrastructure bill. The bill, the Drinking Water and Infrastructure Act, was advanced by the Environmental and Public Works Committee on a unanimous vote. It will authorize tens of billions of dollars to make sure American families, especially low-income families, have access to safe and clean drinking water. And I salute Senator Carper, the chair of the committee, as well as Senator Capito, the ranking Republican on the committee, for coming together on such an important and necessary bill. So in addition to further nominations, it's my intention to move the bipartisan water infrastructure bill next week. As the country turns the corner from COVID-19, our focus will soon shift to how we can cement our economic recovery and create the jobs of the future. President Biden's Build Back Better agenda, a big, bold investment in infrastructure and jobs, is extremely important to that effort. It has wide support among Democrats and wide support among the American people. Many, many Republicans out there in the country support this bill and this concept. And the water infrastructure bill is a small but important part of that overall effort. We hope our Republican colleagues join us in advancing these proposals to repair and reimagine our nation's infrastructure for a new century, just like the anti-Asian hate crimes bill. If Republicans let us get on the bill, we can work out a process to have bipartisan debate and amendments But if the Republican minority prevents the Senate from even debating some of these common sense proposals, we'll have to try to move forward without them. Now on Afghanistan. Yesterday, President Biden announced that American forces will come home from Afghanistan by September 11, 2021. It has been 20 years since that fateful day when the towers fell and the Pentagon was hit. We in New York live particularly hard with that. I still think of the people I knew who perished. A guy I played basketball with in high school, a businessman who helped me on the way up, a brave firefighter who used to go around the city urging people to donate blood together. But in that time, since then, America's armed forces, thank God, have become extremely successful in deterring and rooting out terrorist networks around the globe. President Obama authorized the mission that took out Osama bin Laden, the architect of the 9/11 attacks. Our intelligence agencies have assessed that al-Qaeda and other terrorist groups do not pose an immediate threat to strike the United States from Afghanistan because of the brave work of our armed forces and intelligence organizations. So after sinking 2 decades of blood and treasure into wars in the Middle East, it's time to bring our troops home. America does not need to fight forever wars. I applaud President Biden's decision. Unlike President Trump, President Biden and Secretary Austin have developed a careful and thought-out plan. This isn't President Trump waking up one morning and announcing a random new policy on Twitter while our generals scramble to catch up. This will be a careful and thought-out plan with a real timetable and a firm end date. Whenever we talk about American troops in the Middle East, one of the concerns is mission creep and the enormous pressure to kick the can down the road and delay final decisions. We should and must stick to the date the President has proposed as the last day our troops will be there. I have been assured by the White House that the September 11th date will stick and that President Biden will not kick the can down the road. But I'm happy, I know many senators have questions, and so I'm happy to let my colleagues know that the administration has agreed to brief all senators on this important decision. The briefing will take place soon. It will be in the SCIF, and everyone's questions can be asked and answered. The President himself will address the nation later today and explain the reasons for his decision. In my view, President Biden's plan to bring American troops home from Afghanistan is a very wise one. I yield the floor and note the absence of a quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Baldwin.